This is how 300 people spent one Sunday in October. 200 were policemen, 50 professional strong-arm men at £15 a day each, and 50 were people who call themselves travellers, a mixture of gypsies and Irish tinkers. The gypsies are on ground that belongs to the council. They've no right to be there, they're making a mess of it, and they won't go. The travellers dislike the council because they think the councils dislike them. They're right too. This council disliked them enough to spend over £1,000 in one day to get rid of them. In the ratepayers' eyes, it was money well spent. It's because we refuse to have people like this as neighbours that they have to live an outlaw's life.
Where do you propose to move me to? You move me out there. To where? Where are you going to move there? Have you got a place where I can put in my caravan?
The answer is no. In England and Wales alone, there are over 15,000 travellers, and that number is increasing fast. Only 143 of those 15,000 have sites, which means that less than 1 in 100 are safe from eviction. The remainder have nowhere they can legally go. While a private member's bill for a solution is struggling to get through Parliament, the gypsies are beginning to resist, with a show of strength and even violence that's increasing public antagonism towards them. World in Action decided to look at the most hated and feared group of all, the Irish tinkers. People like Miley Connors, James and Nuknu Hanrahan, John Connors their leader. All related, all in most people's eyes, dirty Irish tinkers living in filthy conditions and offending their neighbours. They've been evicted so often that they and 35 other families ended up on a rubbish dump, and they're not allowed to stay there either. 3 Acts of Parliament passed between 1959 and 1962 have outlawed their way of life. Only when they are actually moving are they not breaking the law. Constant eviction achieves 3 things. It makes the gypsies hate the authorities, it prevents them getting on local housing lists, and it makes certain that their children never get to school. What it doesn't do is to get rid of them, or their mess. Rid of people like Miley Connors and his 12 children.
There was a time there a few years ago back, they could go on 1s or 2s and they'd be left stop a few days any place. But now that the council is getting so strict up to see 2 or 3 caravans, there'll no bother a policeman or any man put you on. But when you're with a big crowd, that's the only way to hold that hand. They have to let you stop one day.
So you're in a big crowd in order to defy the police, to defy the council?
Defy the council and all, to give them more work when they're getting us out.
But what right have you got to do that? But you don't have any right to be here anyway.
No right. We haven't got any right, but on account of us being travellers, we've right to stop someplace. Because we are Romanies all our life, even before them and our grandfathers before us. And we're entitled to the road, we're born on the road.
The one thing they are entitled to do is to stay in England, which doesn't increase the Englishman's love for them. The simple answer would be a house, but it's not that simple.
I can't get my health in a house. I had 2 houses in Manchester. And my husband had to sell them again, because I couldn't get my health in it.
So you find that you're happier
Yeah.
in a caravan?
Yes, I don't be sick in a caravan.
Mm. But even when it's pouring down with rain and stuff outside, you not sometimes wish that you had a house?
No. We'd wish to have a site where we could stay and send the children to school. That's all we want.
The 6,000 gypsy children don't go to school. They learn a harder way.
We don't treat them. It's the way we're brought up. That's the way we're brought up. We're used to that life. That's our way of life from years and years and years and years gone by. We're used to that life.
Yes, but these children, you want a better life for them.
Yes, of
A
course.
better life than you have.
We start petting our children. Yes, we want a better life for our children, all right. But if we start powdering and painting and petting our children, to be in hospital every minute now and the day. Well, I suppose it's what we're brought up to. It's what we're used to.
But you...
A bit of dirt never hurted anybody, anyway.
It's our life, and we don't say to the people you live in a hell of a state, why don't you get a caravan, go travelling? We don't say that. We're travelling people. We always travel. I suppose always will travel, generations. Not that travelling is that kind of life that everybody will say, well, oh, that's great, we like that. It's not like that. It's a very bad life for any young people that's grown up and going to get married and all that there. Like my children, some of them, they will get married, I suppose. Maybe marry some other traveller, I don't know. Some of our generations, some of our travelling people, they've married country people, settled people, and they've settled down. But I mean, I wouldn't encourage this life because I think it's a hell of a life. Because
If you think it's a hell of a life, why do you go on living it?
why yes.
I mean, you can't expect really very much sympathy, surely.
I don't expect sympathy. We're not expecting anything. We're not expecting anything that we're not going to pay for. We're not saying, you give me that, I want it, and I should have it. We're not that kind of people. We don't want that. We want to pay for what we get. And we're willing to do that. Like you say, we'll put you on that side. If you don't pay, you go out. Well, that is the proper thing. We will pay. If the ones that didn't pay, they give every opportunity, every right to push them on, let them keep travelling if they want to. What we want is a place to stay for our kids.
But
I'm not just putting the kids on. I'm putting myself on as well because I want to stay in the place as well.
But while James Hanrahan lives in a caravan, he can't put his wife and family anywhere. Some councils make sure by employing full-time gypsy eviction officers. Many people believe a tinker next door is worse than a black man, but while we push black people into ghettos, the gypsies are pushed out altogether. This policy is most commonly justified by two sins the gypsies commit. They beg water and use the fields as lavatories. But they say it's us who refuse to give them water or lavatories because we don't provide sites. The other mistake they make is that they don't live up to our idea of a gypsy. Gypsies were all right when they came in horse-drawn wagons, selling hand-beaten pans, wooden clothes pegs and flowers. But those gypsies were these gypsies' parents. Irish tinkers or not, they all once lived in old wagons, and many can speak Romany. Out of 15,000 travellers, only about 150 still have wagons, but you can, of course, hire wagon, horse and fodder for £20 a week from the Irish Tourist Board. Gypsies themselves cannot afford such romanticism. Plastics and mass production killed the market for their old crafts. They had to live, and they adapted. Horses were replaced by lorries, handmade wagons by modern caravans. Some men turned to tarmac to earn their living. The tinsmiths, the tinkers, turned to scrap. It was the beginning of the end for the gypsy way of life. That life is no longer possible. They say they're trying to change, though some would say they're not trying hard enough.
I want to bring up my family different than I was brought up myself.
But then they're not going to be gypsies anymore. That would be sad, isn't it?
No, it's not. We don't want to be a gypsy anymore.
Why not?
I don't want to be. It'll be always in my head to be one of it, but I don't want the kids to be.
Why not?
I can be one myself anytime. Can always make the bucket if I want that.
Why don't you want your kids to be gypsies and tinkers?
Well, I don't like it. It gets too rough for them now, isn't it?
What's wrong with it?
Every place you go, everybody's looking at you. And they're pushing you off from porch to pillar. The police is all right, it's the council does it. A councilman will only just see you, and he wouldn't be able to get no report at all. And he'll just say, you've got to get off of here, you've got to get off of here.
Go up further north. Yes, so I see.
A Sunday morning, yes, and you're getting jackboots to do it.
For years, the Ministry of Housing has begged local authorities to stop scenes like these, to provide sites and give them a chance to show whether they're willing to settle or not. Evictions are pointless if there's nowhere the gypsies can go, and there isn't. These came here because Birmingham kicked them out and dug ditches to stop them coming back. From here, they'll go somewhere else. They can't just vanish. They can't stay on commons, they're barred from caravan sites, they're not eligible for housing lists, even if they want a house, and private owners can't have them on their land, even if they want them. And gypsies are not allowed to put their caravans on their own land. One was fined £313 plus costs for being stupid enough to believe that he had a right to live in a field that was his own. The police are here merely to keep the peace. They have no right to evict. Evicting is being done by 50 men from Midland County's investigations, led by ex-police inspector Joseph Phillips. This is the same firm of strong-arm men that helped to throw the same gypsies out of Birmingham a few weeks before. But if society is so keen for gypsies to adopt a civilised way of life, perhaps it's unfortunate that their contact with it is with eviction squads. By lunchtime that Sunday, Joseph Phillips and his squad had forced the gypsies off council land onto the road where the police could deal with them. Midland County's investigations had no comment.
Fine. These men belong to us. We don't want... Yeah, well, that's all right. We've noticed that. Let's down the end of the lane, please.
And that was the end of £950 worth of professional strong-arm men. The council towed the last gypsy onto the road. The police asked them to move, the gypsies refused. There was nowhere they could go except to the next piece of land and the next eviction. It was the council and not the gypsies who'd put the caravans on the road, so the gypsies couldn't be prosecuted. By late afternoon, police were towing them back onto council land again. The eviction had failed. One thing the gypsies are learning about our way of life is the value of organised resistance. For years they've just moved on, leaving behind their mess and any hope of education for their children. Now they're beginning to stick fast. It was the third time in 5 days that this particular council, the Aldridge Brown Hills Urban District Council, had tried to force them out and had failed. The council met again and voted unlimited money to get rid of them. Most councillors know that public spending on gypsy evictions is something ratepayers are unlikely to criticise as an extravagance. They claim they're there to protect the interests of the people they represent and not to accommodate just anybody who dumps themselves on them. In most cases, their attitude to gypsies is uncompromising. They say the gypsies smell, that they pester the local people, and that they steal anything they can lay their hands on. But in Britain, if someone does something wrong and is caught, he's tried, convicted and sentenced, not driven out. Councils and police argue it's impossible to apply that law to people like gypsies whom they can't keep track of. They're still determined to get rid of them.
There's no doubt whatsoever about it. They're filthy. They won't look after themselves, they don't look after the children. Everything round and about their caravans is absolutely filthy. It's costing pounds. I would think that by the end of this year it will have cost Aldridge Brown Hills Council at least £5,000.
These people are not living the true traditional life that an Englishman or Englishwoman should lead. It is no home for children for a man, woman and 3 or 4 children to be in an 18 or 20-foot caravan.
It's been said or suggested that these people are dying to change their mode of life, for education for their children, hygiene, everything else like that. Well, why don't they?
Either they conform to the standards that we should require, or else they go elsewhere.
There were suggestions made by certain people at the council that 2 sites should be found, one at Brown Hills and one at Pelsall. Well, they're not coming to Brown Hills, that's definite. It's over my dead body.
If the councils are determined that the gypsies aren't coming, the gypsies are equally determined they're not going. Councils claim that they're the government's responsibility. The government shift the responsibility back onto the councils. Somewhere in between, the gypsies are left, and they're beginning to solve their own problem their own way, by force. While the gypsies were waiting for the next onslaught against them, we went to see how dirty, how dishonest, how rich, how violent they really are. Just what kind of people.
Have you always been in caravans all your life?
Always, yes.
Even when you were small?
Even I was born on the road, yes.
So when did you come here?
Why did I come here? Come here just after the war, 1948.
After we got married.
After we got married, yeah.
We got married in 1948.
How old were you when you got married?
16.
How old were you?
16.
How old were you?
15 and 9 months. And she was only 15 and 3 months.
Is that the kind of age when all travellers get married?
Well, some get married earlier than that.
My sister was married at 14.
Their customs and their way of life isolate them, and though society may have given them nothing, they haven't given society anything either. They don't license their vehicles because they can get away with it, and they don't pay income tax even on £20 a week.
In 1 week, you might be able to earn, say, 20 quid.
Yes.
Well, now, on that, you should pay income tax.
Have you not paid income tax? Just a minute, I say I earn 20 quid. You got a family to keep. Say it costs about 8 quid. You got a wagon to keep on the road. Costs us at least, at the very least, 30 bob a day.
Yeah, fair enough, but the government don't look at it that way. They think that a
They've
man...
got to live as well, you know. Even the government don't look at it that way. You can't keep a motor on the road if it doesn't earn the money. If you don't go out with it, you won't earn 20 quid. If you go out,
That makes no difference. The government consider that if you earn a certain amount, you should pay income tax.
Oh,
If you
yes.
don't pay income tax,
Yes.
well, why don't you pay income tax?
well, how can we pay income tax? We got no place to stay. We got no place to live. What can we do? Fly in the air?
But income tax hasn't got anything to do with staying anywhere.
No, I know that. They've not got to do that. Stay anywhere. We're willing to pay the little bit of tax that they want of us, if they want it of us. But first they'll have to find us a place to stay before they get anything off us. And we don't want nothing off the government. We want to give them something. We want a place to stay, to pay them for to get our kids educated. Not like the way we was. We was reared up on the road. I don't know beef and ba, whatever you might call it, but I don't.
Have you yourself ever been to school?
I've been to school just for catechism, no education, just prayers and that, you know, for my religion. They have to do that, you know.
And you can't sort of read
I can't read or write, no.
And yet you can afford an expensive truck and an expensive caravan. How can you afford that?
Yes, that's easy. I suppose they just think that we walk in and pay out cash for it and walk out with it. It's not like that. It's not as simple as that. You see, maybe we were working maybe for 4 or 5 years before we can do that. And then we don't walk in and just say, I want this wagon here, tax it from here, insure it, and take it away. It's not like that. We have part exchange every time. And they allow so much on the old one, you know, maybe to a couple £100, maybe we might have that. And we'd give that a swap and have a new one.
Caravans can cost £2,000. The gypsies say they earn it. Most people assume they steal it.
Everybody steals.
Even in the
Everybody
settled
steals
people,
things.
the
Settled
steal
people
things,
that's
you know.
living in houses, them steals, don't they? And there's maybe travelling people steals. But the travelling person gets the worst name. When they see a gypsies camp nearby their home, they just, if they miss something when they come in from work, they'll say, well, the gypsies done that. The gypsies is up there, camping up there. Well, this stands bad for us. Everybody's against us. They say, we done it, we took it. It's the gypsies took it. It might be their next door neighbour took it.
Why do you think it is that people don't like travellers?
Good question. Well, maybe it's the way to go on with big crowds, get on scrapping out there. Maybe sometimes, maybe some people do get abused. They're tired of all the people the same then, you see.
But why does that happen? Why do people get abused?
Well, maybe somebody might go to a place and might say bugger off and you might answer them back, so-and-so, you know.
But people are often even frightened of you. Why do you think that is?
I don't see why they should be frightened.
But they are.
I suppose so, yes.
Well, I'll tell you how it is fighting in pubs. What's the start of an argument in a pub is, when you walk into a pub and a man says, or a woman, whoever it may be that's in the pub, what can you say? Maybe there are 2 or 3 people at that bar. And the man might say, Mrs., right over your head, although you were in front of him, the settled community might say, right over your head, a pint, please. Okay? That's left you in the background. That's victimising you, just because you're a traveller. And then when you say, listen, sir, I'm in front of you, I'm before you, it's me to be served before you. The first thing you say, well, I'm a customer of this place. You're only a bloody gypsy, you're a bloody tinker. Well, what kind of a person would you want to be? You want to be a dog, you want to have no life in you, if you didn't take up for yourself.
John Connors did stick up for himself and the other gypsies. It was because he got them to dig themselves in that the council couldn't dig them out.
But you expect the council to give you a site?
Yes, we expect them, because we don't know other way out.
What right have you to expect this?
Well, didn't the people get houses? Didn't the people in this area, whatever area this is, Brown Hills area, hadn't they to be provided with houses when they started off first?
Well, they bought them,
yes,
most of them.
Well, yes, I know they bought them, most of them, yeah, but a lot of them is council houses. Most of them belong to the council houses, then.
But you don't belong in this area. You're travellers.
You're travellers, yes, but we want to settle down. That's what we want. We want to settle down in the one place.
But if
so we can get education for our children.
But if the people around here don't want you and the council doesn't want
Well,
you...
they'll have to put up with us, that's the only thing.
Why should they?
They'll have to put up with us, why wouldn't they?
Some gypsies do steal, some smell too. But no one's going to stop smelling or stealing by being hounded from every place they ever stop at. The argument in favour of sites is that they would provide facilities and education for the gypsy families and a chance for the government to get its income tax and road fund licences. And the police could get their hands on the gypsies too. It would also mean that prosecuting travellers on land where they had no right to be would then make more sense, because they'd have somewhere they could be. It's understandable too that the local councils say no, but when every council says no, it means there's nowhere to go for 15,000 people, and no education at all for 6,000 children. And there are 6,000 gypsy children growing up without being able to read and write. The government have produced reports, the Ministry of Housing have pleaded, but this council, like most others, was still determined to get them out and was angry that it had so little power to do so. But if the government pleas had failed, John Connor's methods had not. World in Action had almost finished filming when the council had a sudden change of heart and came up with an offer.
The local council has met today, and they've offered us 6 sites.
What does it say, Johnny?
And this is what it says. The major step in tackling the problem of thinkers was taken last night by Aldridge Urban District Council. It agreed after a 3-hour debate to provide a permanent site for 6 families. No decision was reached on permanent location, but a temporary site is being provided at Rushall. Now, lads, what this means is they give you the site maybe for 28 days, a temporary site. They can kick you off that site anytime they want to do it.
Well, that's the time going to go.
Yeah, yes, I know. I'll come to that later. But if they kick you off this site that they're giving you, temporary site, then where are you? They want to break up the crowd first. That's what I think it is. When they break up the crowd, then we're finished. They can push, kick, pull any 2 or 3 or 6 families away. The gypsies live in extremely primitive conditions, in hostile, with local population. They cannot achieve any standard of personal hygienic, and their children are enduring terrible hardship. Well, as you know yourself, lads, our children is going through a lot of hardship. No schooling. They're running around, half of them, they lose a shoe in the muck, they can't go back to pick it up because they're worthwhile picking up in the muck. As you know, in the sludge. In the sludge. Now, Councillor J. Cooper declared that the council was declining blackmail by the thinkers. So, this is my proposition to you. Will I take that 6 sites, or will I not?
No. I tell you, pick out 6 among them. That can't be.
You can't do it.
It can't be done. It can't be done. How could it be done?
But when the enthusiasm and the alcohol had worn off, it was done. It was a site for 6 more gypsy families. The others went off to fight for the same luxuries somewhere else. Why had the council changed its mind?
We provided the site on the assurance, on the personal assurance of the chief constable that he would remove by persuasion, voluntary movement if possible, but if necessary, by compelling the remaining families to move out of the urban district.
I do not think we had an earthly chance of moving them. They were in too large a numbers. They realised, being driven out of Birmingham, they'd got to dig the toes in somewhere. It was a last-ditch stand, and the last-ditch stand was at Pelsall.
Whatever the reason, it was a place and a school for 6 more gypsy families to go to.
Put the water in the far station. Yeah, it's very hot. She's the water switched on now. She's the water. Switch it on, please. Right. It's hot already. Hot already.
When we began filming, 143 gypsy families were allowed to live within the law. When we finished, 149, which leaves only about 15,000 with nowhere to go.